Welcome to The Hypnotist, the show that gives you inside access to cutting-edge hypnosis with real clients facing genuine issues. Brought to you by the hypnotherapist demanded by celebrities, CEOs, and even royalty, Adam Cox. These recordings took place live from Adam's clinic in London's world-famous Harley Street. This podcast features powerful hypnosis, so do not listen while driving or operating machinery. This recording is not suitable for those with epilepsy or severe mental health issues. So, get yourself comfortable and enjoy today's episode of The Hypnotist.
Hi, it's Adam here, and in this episode of The Hypnotist, you're going to be listening to a hypnosis session created for a client that was running their own business and had a part of that business that wasn't quite meeting their own expectations in terms of revenue, in terms of new clients, in terms of the ability to continue with that strategy. And what can happen is that when people are doing something that isn't meeting their needs or their goals or their expectations, they do it more half-heartedly, which then gets even less results, which then can create more frustration. So what you're going to hear in this is a way of framing it that this game is winnable if they find the right pattern or the right combination or the right strategy. There's a metaphor of a Rubik's Cube, there's a metaphor of an escape room, and it does link to things like finding a way of generating a certain number of new clients, or having some kind of online product that by selling that online product, it gives them an infinite runway of doing more online adverts. And the reason that this is important is that there's 2 or 3 metrics here that were important to them, that if they meet any of those metrics in the next 6 months, then they're going to keep doing that pretty much forever until it stops working. But if they don't, then the way out of the escape room is to make the evaluation that doing this is not worthy of their time and they're better off to try a different strategy. And you'll know this from your own experiences. Maybe you were at school or college or something like that, that in certain cases you needed a deadline to become resourceful. And there may have been times that you did something in an evening or in a day that you'd been procrastinating on for weeks or months because you needed to do it. And sometimes these artificial deadlines or real deadlines can actually crystallize resources, turn that kind of distracted, dissipated focus into laser beam focus to actually end up getting a breakthrough. And a lot of the time when things simply have to happen, they do happen. But while it's kind of maybe, and I'll try this and I'll try that, nothing really happens, which can be a very frustrating experience. I think if you're in business, if you, particularly a smaller business where you've got to create your clients and convert leads into new customers, then you'll benefit from this, even if you have different goals, because making the game winnable is so important. If the game isn't winnable, people don't want to play whatever that game is. If, however, you feel that this doesn't quite hit the mark for you because it was created for someone else, there will be a link in the show notes where you can schedule that free 30-minute consultation call to explore working with me. For now, though, find a quiet, comfortable place where you won't be disturbed, relax, and enjoy the session. Take a deep breath in. And as you breathe in, breathe in that resourceful feeling of calm and relaxation. And as you exhale, just feel a wonderful sense of letting go of any tension, any stress, any worries. I want you to think of a color that represents powerful, resourceful feelings. Feelings of motivation, determination, tenacity. And maybe each emotional resource is a different color. And allow your intuition to let you know what resources would be most useful right now. Maybe it's self-belief, maybe faith. And as you breathe in, just imagine breathing in those colors, feeling an immediate lift in confidence, and a feeling of motivation. And as you exhale, just allow any of those disempowering emotions to leave your body. And that may be doubt, fear, or worry. And as you breathe out, see them as dark, shadowy colors. That you're breathing in those bright, vibrant resources and exhaling all of those things that could create disempowering, self-fulfilling prophecies. Because when you're coming from a position of fear or doubt, you could imagine it dialing down your intensity. And then, with more hesitation, more procrastination, and less effort, inevitably there's less results, which can lead to even more doubts. So as you breathe out those doubts, feel that roundabout of emotions starting to rotate in the opposite direction. I want you to make the belief that the game is winnable if you find the right combination. I want you to imagine giving a Rubik's Cube to a child and telling them that you would give a certain amount of money if they solve it. And imagine telling them after they've tried for hours that it's a prank, that the Rubik's Cube is not solvable. The money, the prize is still there, but their belief that it's no longer solvable saps all of their motivation. They wouldn't be unwilling to even attempt. And then imagine reversing time, and at the point where they're getting frustrated and losing hope, show them a series of videos of people solving the same Rubik's Cube in under 10 seconds. Nothing's changed about the Rubik's Cube. The only thing that has changed is the child now believes it's solvable. And when the game is winnable, it unlocks tenacity, determination, optimism. And the paradox being, when you believe the thing is possible, you infinitely increase the probability of finding the solution. And maybe there's an area of your life that you felt that the Rubik's Cube was unsolvable. And questions are starting to pop into your mind. Why am I wasting time on this thing? But what if it is solvable? and you simply haven't found the right combination yet. A Rubik's Cube follows more like the algorithm of social media than it does a puzzle. That if you follow a certain pattern in a certain sequence, eventually it leads to all sides of the Rubik's Cube being the same color. That it doesn't matter the starting point. That if you follow the right sequence, eventually you get the right result. And sometimes that Rubik's Cube has to become more messy, feel like it's getting further away than the goal in order to arrive at the destination. And so many people would give up because on the surface it looks like it's getting further away, when in reality it's getting closer. So breathe in those colors of powerful, resourceful emotions: belief, faith, confidence, tenacity. In other areas of your life, you have a belief that you will simply find a way. So allow your mind to map that idea across to this other area of your life, that you will simply find a way. And as you breathe in those bright, vibrant colors and continue to exhale any doubts, any fears, any insecurities, notice you feel lighter. And use the power of that imagination to imagine that you are in an escape room. Whatever comes to mind as to what this escape room looks like is exactly as it should be. And I want you to make an evaluation that an escape room with no escape is a prison. But what makes an escape room is that there are clues and there are things you can do to find a way out. And I want you to think of an area of your life where if the right combination is found, a doorway is open to an unbelievably positive future. And maybe there's not just one door, but several, maybe 2 or 3. And I want you to make an evaluation that those doors open when you find the right combination. And there is always a difference between cause and effect. Sometimes when you do the right things, it leads to the right outcome. And I want you to think of a door opening that would lead to a certain number of new clients per month. And allow your mind to start thinking of the variables that could lead to that outcome. Different adverts, different messages, different copy, different timing, different audiences, different styles, a different journey. I want you to get a sense that any marketing funnel is like a leaky hose, that your ad spend is the water pressure going into the hose, and whatever trickles out the end is the revenue you make from new clients, and I wonder, maybe the way to open this door, this particular combination lock, is to figure out the leaks in the hose and to seal them before the water gets to them, meaning that the same spend would lead to way more clients trickling out the end, and decide on a number of clients that would need to come every single week or month to feel like that door is open, and give the challenge of figuring out what those leaky holes are to your unconscious mind. Consider it an open loop, a puzzle for your mind to think of. What can you change or test to figure out the leaks? And then what do you need to do to seal them? And if your unconscious is willing to take on that challenge, let me know by nodding your head. That's it. Consider this a game of testing. Testing, not guessing. And each time you find out a way to increase a conversion from one stage to the next, feel like you've sealed one of those leaks all the way down the end. And maybe there is a way so that water isn't wasted when it gets to the end of that hose. And I wonder if you can think of something that you can create, something that would be valuable and useful, that means that if a prospect can't agree to a core proposition, there is something else they could buy instead. I want you to get a sense that a hose inevitably has waste. The water pressure goes in at one end and comes out the other. And if you could get even a small portion of that water, it feels like success. But I want you to use the power of your imagination to imagine a fountain in that escape room. That the water flows, but it flows down and is captured in the base of the fountain, and then a pump takes it all the way back up to the top. And I want you to think of maybe some low-cost online product that you could create that means that you never run out of water. That what flows from the top is captured in the bottom and then goes back up to the top again. And I want you to, as you stare into this fountain, to consider this an infinite runway. And maybe all it would take to create the fountain that would open a new door from the escape room is to simply build an online course and then offer it. And if your unconscious is willing to take on that challenge, let me know by nodding your head. Whenever you believe the game is winnable, you will want to play it more. Whenever you do something from a position of confidence and intensity, you increase the probability of success. Whenever you have a positive thought, you are planting a positive seed that could reap the fruit of success in the future. Those disempowering thoughts are like poison to the same trees. And whenever you stop yourself halfway through a disempowering thought, you are increasing the probability of future success. I want you to consider this escape room a 6-month challenge that either you figure out that way of sealing the leaks in the hose that opens one door, or create a fountain that opens another, or maybe there is a way of doing something that creates the ability to have an exponential return in the future. I want you to consider an area of this escape room that simply has soil and seeds. If you never plant the seeds, nothing will grow. And the way to escape the escape room is to plant seeds that grow. And I want you to imagine each time you do something that could lead to a new lead, people choosing to hear more of what you have to say has a value. And if you can get the price of those seeds so low, then even if you don't get the return immediately, you have the inner belief that planting so many seeds would lead to a harvest of abundance in the future. Just imagine the current cost of a seed is 20, and how you open the final door of this escape room is if you can figure out a way to buy a seed for under 5, a door opens. I want you to get a sense that it may not be possible to seal all the leaks in the hose, or to build the fountain, or to buy the seeds for under 5. But you only need to do one of those things to escape the escape room. And I want you to make an agreement with yourself that if after 6 months of enthusiastic, dedicated, concerted effort towards finding the combination lock, escaping this escape room, doesn't lead to an escape room, to none of the doors opening, then I want you to acknowledge that this is a game not worthy of your time. And by giving yourself 6 months, you're letting yourself know that you would rather do something for 6 months with full intensity than to do something in a frustrated, hesitant way for years. Because I want you to make an evaluation that if you gave it your all to escape the escape room for 6 months, your strategic thinking, your creativity, your productivity, your own sense of energy would all benefit anyway, even if you didn't find a solution. But the irony is, by giving yourself permission to fail, you increase the probability of success. I want you to think of your favorite sport and think of a significant championship or finals. The player or the team goes into that sport knowing that they may win, they may lose, and it's the possibility of loss that unlocks the intensity and the desire to win. if there was nothing at stake, the game wouldn't be worthy of their time. And I want you to feel that this next 6 months is your championship final. That the Rubik's Cube is solvable, that the combination lock is winnable, and you will do it with a level of intensity, belief and optimism that will harness the power of your subconscious mind to find a surprising and positive outcome. And I wonder that by doing this in this way, if you may find even more ways out of the escape room, purely on accident, simply by trying to find a way, you find other ways. Where there is a will, there is a way, and you are unlocking an infinite will to find a way. And I want you to imagine each of those future scenarios. Imagine what it would be like in your reality to have that consistent number of new clients coming in every month. And to imagine that you also have some online course that gives you an infinite runway, so you never have to worry about ad spend ever again. And the cost of acquiring a new lead or prospect or contact is so low that the margins just get higher and higher. The game doesn't just have to be winnable. Winning the game needs to be desirable, and as you increase desire, you are unlocking the resources to win the game. And if your unconscious mind is committed to playing and winning this game, but also acknowledging that if you can't win in 6 months, then the game is not worthy of your time, let me know by nodding your head. Now it's time to leave, not through any of the doors, just teleport back to the present moment, allowing your unconscious to start working on how to solve these puzzles. But before you leave, imagine seeing a child with a big smile showing you a completed Rubik's Cube, and feel happy for the child as you give the child that money that you promised, feeling that what is good for them is also good for you. And take that Rubik's Cube, the completed Rubik's Cube, back with you, and feel like you're coming back to the present as you take a deep breath in through your nose and out through your nose. Wiggle your fingers and wiggle your toes, connect fully into the present moment as I now count from 1 to 10 to awaken you. Starting to count. 1, 2, 3, waking up. 4, 5, 6, more alert. 7, 8, open your eyes, open your eyes. 9, 10, wide awake, wide awake, wide awake.
Thank you for listening to The Hypnotist with Adam Cox, the show that gives you inside access to cutting-edge hypnosis with real clients facing genuine issues. To automatically receive the latest episodes, please subscribe. If you'd like to support the show, please share this episode with just one friend you think it could help. And if this episode helped you, please leave us a 5-star review.